Hi guys, Laura here. So this is another one of those videos where I'm gonna open up and share myself and my journey in life. A couple weeks ago I had posted a video on how I struggle with Mother's Day and that it's kind of a double-edged sword, that, you know, I have happy moments because I'm a mom and want to celebrate, but I'm sad because I miss my mom, and I'm glad it's over. I lived through Mother's Day and it was fabulous. It was so great. My kids are the sweetest and, you know, made me cards and brought me breakfast in bed and took me out for a lovely dinner, and I was just very thankful. So, but on that video, a few of you had asked how my mom ended up dying. So I thought I'd share this story because it's actually, it's an interesting story, and it feels like it should be in the movies or something. It didn't feel like reality. So just to give you a little bit of backstory, my mom had a kidney transplant when I was in my first year of university. And that was a really, really hard year. So my mom was born with one kidney. When she was 21, she got into a car accident and damaged that kidney. And she was flown down to the Mayo Clinic. They did this experimental procedure to help fix that kidney. And they said it might last a few years, and she ended up having it for, you know, 20 some odd years before she needed a kidney transplant. So she had a kidney transplant. My uncle donated the kidney, so she didn't have to wait for a donor, which was fantastic. So it was a living donor. And then the next year she had a heart attack. And because the medication that she was taking for the anti-rejection drugs with the kidney and the high blood pressure that comes along with it and all of that stuff ended up clogging her arteries. So she had a heart attack. And when they went in to see what was going on, they found that her arteries were very clogged and ended up doing triple bypass surgery. Then the next year, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So my poor mom just had the gamut. And you know what though? She was sick in my life, and it was just the two of us. My parents divorced when I was 10, and my brother passed away. And so it was just mom and I, and we were very, very close. And so it was really hard those times when she was sick, but she was never sickly. So what I mean by that was she never was like, woe is me, and oh, I'm so sick and I've had it so hard. She was the happiest, upbeat, sort of optimistic person that was like, you know what? This is obviously what I can handle, and I'm going to handle it with honor and grace and a smile on my face. And that was her. And so I always thought that when, you know, it was always in my mind that she could die, you know. So we talked a lot about death, and we never left anything unsaid. Like my mom and I were so close. So I think a lot of reason why we were close is because, you know, I was always worried that she was going to die. So I never left anything unsaid. You know, I told her how grateful I was that she was my mom and that we ended up together, and just what an amazing role model I thought she was. And you know, she knew that I loved her. So when she died, I didn't have any regrets because we were so good to one another. We were kind to one another, and we shared our feelings with one another, and you know, we spent a lot of time together. We talked on the phone every day, and so I didn't have regrets. I just had complete and utter loneliness, because when she died, 70% of the conversation, the words that came out of my mouth, died with her, because I talked to her every day, and more than anybody, really. So it was hard. So anyways, I long story here, but I always thought that there would be a warning, like her kidney would give out, or, you know, her heart would give out, or maybe cancer would come back, and, you know, that I would know that it was coming. And so she was completely fine. And my husband and I and my daughter, she was 2.5 at the time, we were going to Florida. And didn't even think anything about leaving my mom. And one morning at breakfast, my phone rang. We're at a restaurant, and it was my cousin. And she said, now I'm going to try and get through the story without crying, but I might have to pause from time to time to compose myself. But anyways, so we were at breakfast and my phone rang and I answered it. It was my cousin, and she said, Laura, she said, I'm so sorry. She said, your mom is in the hospital and the doctors say she only has a few hours to live and to try and make it home. And I was just like, what? This can't be happening. What do you mean? And so she said apparently the artery that was leaving her heart got a tear in it. And by the time anybody got to her, all of her organs were shutting down, and there was nothing that they could do for her. And so I talked to her on the phone and I said to her, please wait. Just please don't leave without me. And she said, okay, I'm gonna wait for you. And so this was at 11 in the morning, and the doctors had given her only a few hours to live at the time. And the worst part is we had driven to Buffalo and parked our car there, and the only direct flight from Fort Lauderdale to Toronto would deliver me in Toronto by 10 p.m. at night. So this is 11 a.m. At 11 a.m. I have to rush to the hotel, pack my bag, try and get on a plane, and they're telling me I can't get home until 10 o'clock at night. I figured then she would just be dead. So we ended up finding a flight that got us in to Buffalo at 7, which is where our car was. But then we had an hour and a half drive to get to Toronto, and we figured, it still would get us to Toronto sooner than if we had flown directly into Toronto, and then we'd still have our car, so that would be a good thing. So we booked that flight. It was with Southwest, and they were happy to change it. It was sweatless. They could not have been lovelier. So we got to the airport, and we had to fly from Fort Lauderdale to Tampa, and then Tampa to Buffalo. There was no direct flight to Buffalo, and we were sitting in the airport and thunderstorms happened, and I'm just bawling hysterically because my mom, my best friend, is dying, and I need to be with her. And so the time is ticking away from when my connecting flight in Tampa would be leaving. So I was just like, please, 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 please let me make it. Finally, the thunderstorm stopped. I get on the plane. I'm still crying hysterically. The flight attendant comes over and asks me what's wrong, and I told her, my husband told her, that my mom was in the hospital dying and that she only had a few hours to live and we had to get home. And so she brought me a box of Kleenex, and she was just so lovely. And we were sitting there about to take off when the thunderstorms come back and the runways close. So we're sitting on the plane and we hear the announcements of, if you're flying to Chicago, you're going to spend the night here. If you're flying to here, you're going to be diverted there. And it was just like, I'm not going to make it. And the time was ticking, ticking, ticking. And then all of a sudden, we were still on the runway in Fort Lauderdale when my flight in Tampa was taking off to Buffalo. So I thought, that's it, my mom's dead and I'm not there. So just at that time, the thunderstorms go away and the plane is ready for takeoff, and we take off, but it doesn't matter because my flight's gone. And so the flight attendant comes over and she says, I just want to let you know. She said, I just want to let you know that we called ahead to the pilot in Tampa and they're holding the plane for you. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that they held the plane, and that she cared enough to take the time to ask me what was wrong. And I think there should be more of that in the world, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have made that flight from Tampa. So we landed in Tampa, and the flight attendant came over the PA and asked everyone to remain seated because they had to get a family off immediately. And everyone did. Everyone stayed seated, and we took our daughter and our bags, and we said to the flight attendant throughout the flight, we said, you know, we have our bags and our car seat under the plane, and we need our car seat to take our daughter home because she was too little to just sit in a seat. And the one flight attendant said to me, if your bags and your seat don't make it on the plane, we will have it shipped to you, and we will make sure that there is a car seat waiting for you when you arrive in Buffalo. I couldn't believe it. Like, amazing. I just can't say enough good things about Southwest because they were so incredibly helpful. Anyway, we got off the plane, and the flight crew from the other flight was waiting for us, and we were running down the hallway, and they ushered us onto the plane. They pulled the door shut behind them, got us a seat, and off we were to Buffalo. It was like a movie. It was the most amazing thing. So we finally get to Buffalo, and we go to see if our bags had made it, and believe it or not, they made it. They made it off the plane. So the ground crew was notified to get our bags off, and they were there, and they managed to find them and take them from one plane and put them on the next plane, and it was just amazing. Anyway, 8 years. This happened 8 years ago, and I'm still a blubbering mess when I tell this story. So anyway, so we get into the car and we race to Toronto, which was an hour and a half. And I pulled up in front of the hospital and just dumped my car, and my uncle was standing outside, and I just thought, please let her still be here. I didn't know if she was still here. And my uncle came and he grabbed me, and I said, is she still here? And he said, yeah, she's still here. And so my aunts and uncles were with her, so she wasn't alone. She was with her brothers and sisters. They came in, they live in the country, and they came in. But she was in a coma when I came, so she couldn't talk to me. But she made it. She hung on until I got there, and I crawled into bed with her, and I grabbed her hand, and I said, Mom, I'm here. And I think I felt her grab my hand, like squeeze my hand, but I don't know. I'm hoping that she knew I made it. I just hope she knew that I was there. I think that's the thing I struggle with the most is I just wanted her to know that she didn't die without me, that I was there with her. And so I laid in bed with her, and I just talked to her and hugged her and held her and said, you know, I thanked her for being my mom. I told her I'd be okay, and that I loved her, and that I was lucky to know her. And then she died in my arms. But I'm just so grateful for the flight attendant at Southwest who cared enough to take the time to ask what was wrong, because if it wasn't for her, my mom would have died without me, and it was because of her I was able to hold my mom as she passed away. And I wrote the airline afterwards, actually a couple of years afterwards, because I was just a mess after my mom died. And we found the flight attendant because I didn't even know her name. And so they helped me track her down, and she sent me an email, and she was really happy to know that I had made it. And then she got an award, actually. She got an award for being a good employee and a caring person, because she was really, really great. So that's it in a nutshell, how my mom died. It was kind of a crazy story, and it hit me like a Mack truck because there was no warning. It happened in one day, and I struggle with it still. I miss her. I just miss her so much. she was just such a good mom and a good person. And sometimes I find it hard being a mom without a mom, because I just have questions that I wish I could ask her. And I think that's the hard part, is just not being able to ask her another question. But she taught me how to be a good mom, so if I'm half as good to my children as she was to me, then I'll be a pretty good mom. And I'm trying. And the thing that came out of this that you guys might find interesting is that I had actually infertility treatments with Faris. It took us 3 years to get pregnant with her. And so we went through the whole fertility process and was so fortunate to finally get pregnant after all of that time. And then when it was time to have a second baby, we tried the same thing, and we did it 7 times. Our doctor recommended 4 to 6 tries because they say, you know, after 4 to 6 tries, if it doesn't work, then that is not the thing that's going to work. And so we did it 7 times because I thought, you know what, if I stop after the 6th, then the 7th one I would have got pregnant, like mentally. I know it was crazy, but anyway, so we did 7 rounds, all failed, didn't work. So the doctors told us that we probably couldn't have another child. We didn't want to go the IVF rate because it's really expensive, and I didn't think that I had the mental ability to spend, you know, $10,000 and then not come out with a baby. Like, I would just have been completely devastated. And so we decided, you know what, we have 1 child, we're very lucky and grateful. And so my mom dies, and very suddenly. And the first time my husband and I had relations after she died, we conceived my son. And so we call him our little gift from Grandma, because she left and he came. And that's why he's called Hartford, because my mom's last name was Hartford. And we thought, how could we not name this child after my mom? So that was hard because I mentally wasn't prepared. We didn't think we could have another one. And, you know, I had just lost my mom and I was mourning, and then I had to deal with a baby. And the funny thing is my mom's friend said that he would be born in August. He was due July 25th. And she said he's going to wait until August because you can't hate your wedding month. So my mom died on August 13th and our wedding anniversary was August 14th. So needless to say, a few years after she died, we couldn't celebrate our wedding anniversary because I was just too heartbroken. And so we would celebrate our date anniversary in February when we first started dating. And so Diane said, he's going to wait. He's going to wait until August, because then you have to have something that is happy for the month of August. And sure enough, he did. He was 10 days late. He was born August 4th. So he's my little miracle baby. Anyway, that's the story. I'm such an emotional basket case sometimes, I know. But you know what? I think that it's nice to share your life experiences so that when I say I miss my mom, you kind of understand a little bit why I miss her so much. Well guys, thanks for watching and listening to my story. And if you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it because it was a long video, but it was kind of nice to share the story because it was a crazy, sad, emotional day, and I miss her. I miss her so much. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching and being around and commenting and just sending love. It's so appreciated. Thanks, guys, and have a great day. Bye.